Konami's newest support is spiking prices. So whether it's the Dark Magician support or the Master support, the price of its cards are spiking. And the same will happen with the Red Eyes support, because in our last video we discussed that Red Eyes soon should be getting some more support. And that leads us straight into the Market Watch with the first card and the one we mentioned in our last video, and that is Red Eyes Insight. Because for a single copy, they're about $5 to $6 a piece. You know, the cheaper ones, you got that shipping because they're one-offs, and later on they're down to that $5.99 mark. So about $5 to $6 a piece for a single Red Eyes Insight, and honestly, that's not that bad. As we know, it's one of the key searchers in the deck, and if they get any support at all, any good spells or traps, the Insight is going to search it. And then if any of their new monsters have effects in the graveyard, this card is going to be a one-card starter, and the price of this card will spike. So whether you're a Red Eyes fan or on the lookout for more support in the future, Red Eyes Insight is an easy go-to for the quarter-century secret rare copy. And now, when we're talking about Red Eyes, we have to mention the Black Metal Dragon, because yes, this is kind of better in the Dragon Link deck, but if Red Eyes sees any form of Link 1, kind of how Blue Eyes has, or Dark Magicians with the D mod, then this card is going to be insane, because you can normally link it off for a Link 1, and then proceed with the combo line, as well as have a search. So if Red Eyes receive any support that complements the Black Metal Dragon, especially Link 1, this card's price will spike above what it is right now. And it is about $12 to $13 a piece, which I understand isn't the cheapest for the card, but again, if Red Eyes receives any support or Dragon Link in the future takes off, which is a very big possibility, we know the Black Metal Dragon quarter-century secret rare will be a main add to those decks, and players will want to bling it out. But going to our next card, we have to mention Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, because again, even with the Dark Magician support that was able to one-card tutor into the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, yes, it's pretty insane, and we did even see the price spike real high on this card. It was about $50, $60, even some of them were in the $70, close to $80 range, but very, very quickly they started simmering down to about $50 a piece. And 50s are still pretty good when you note that way back when, a couple months ago, they're about $20 a piece, 21s, 22s. So 20 to 50 is nothing to put your nose up to, but again, these were closer to that $75 mark, and that was just summoning out a Red Eyes that will just get banished on the end of the opponent's next turn, okay? So it wasn't even a permanent Red Eyes Dragoon. So if Red Eyes support at all gives us access to the fusion without limiting our summoning, their Dragoon will be insane, and players are just realizing quarter-century secret rares of this card, even though they're not the Starlights, are still pretty sought after, and the price will reflect that, especially in the years to come, so do keep that in mind. But when we mention all these cards, especially Dragoon, we have to go to the Predaplant Vert Anaconda. And now this card is still banned, but a lot of players have been kind of theorizing, including myself, that in the future we might see this card return to the format, even if it is just to give some support to the fusions that at one point were kind of terrorizing the meta, like Dragoon. And again, quite some time ago, they were relatively cheap. You know, they had about $2 to $3 a piece, and if you want one, they're about $5 to $6 a piece. Again, yes, you have the 5s with the no shipping. If you get the $4.99s, obviously you're going to have that shipping added on, but about $5 to $6 a piece for the Predaplant Vert Anaconda. And now the gold rares are relatively cheap. They're like $1 or $2, so just know there's a budget version of this card for now. But if this card does get unbanned, again, that $5 price point will just be the beginning, because this card will definitely see a spike, especially if there's new fusion support for it to go after. But to keep things from getting boring, we have to spice things up with the card that I've been mentioning on this channel, and hopefully you picked up your copies, because that is quarter-century rare Heatwave. And now, this has kind of been the talk of the town the last couple days, and it will only get more popular once players start utilizing it, or just realizing, hey, a rare for this card was like $20 to $25. So when these quarter-century secret rares were $3 to $5, that was a steal, and now it is no longer a steal. So hopefully, again, you picked up your copies, because they're about $8, $9, $10 $13, $14, $15 a piece. Yeah, I know that was jumping all over there with the numbers, but literally that's what you're looking at once you start scrolling down. Again, they start about $8, $9 a piece, quickly jump to 12s and 13s, and then once you dip down, they're $15 a piece. And yes, I actually had to note, I was going to talk about that this card was like a $20, $25 card easily. Well, you know, we do have some people that agree with that $20 sentiment, but there's no 25s. They jump immediately from 20s to 50s, and I know there's only 2 listings there, but this just shows you that the hype for Heatwave is real. There's only 40 left on the market, and again, we were kind of talking about this earlier on the channel. Hopefully players were listening, because again, once you had this as a rare at $25 a piece, a quarter century secret at 4s, it's not even a joke anymore, okay? So Heatwave, hopefully you got your copies. 10s are insane, but again, this card is gonna keep getting better. And of course, we have to talk about another card we were hyping up on this channel, and hopefully you listen to us, because that is none other than Salesman. And now, for the secret rare of this card, they're literally like $18 to $20 a piece, and that's no joke. Because way back when we were talking about these copies, they were like $5, $6 a piece because they were rising up. They immediately dropped down to 3s and 4s. People were thinking it was a joke, and now we are here. And again, I got a lot of slack in the comment section when we were talking about this card, but players have realized just how good it is. Not only was it debuted live on stream, the exact event Crossout Designator was put to 1, but since then we've had other decks winning events with Salesman in the side, and it is getting players' attention now. So $20 a piece from 3 and 4, not too bad, because again, way back when they're $1, and I understand people were shy when it went up to $3 or $4 a piece, but again, for a secret rare, not too shabby. And the supers might even be more of a crazy story, because way back when we were screaming about them, they're about 15 to 25 cents a piece. That's kind of good. And now if you want a single copy, they are $5 a piece. And that is no joke, because again, players are wanting 3 of these to replace their crossout designators, and not only are they good against hand traps, but against established boards. And I have to note, this card was essentially in competition with DD Designator, which these prices were pretty insane. I am a fan of the card nonetheless, but these prices were getting crazy, and players have decided Salesman is overall just a better card and easier to utilize. So hopefully you're subscribed to the channel, so you picked up your copies of Salesman before they spiked, and if you haven't, definitely do so right now. And smash that like, because we like making sure that players get to our content so they can save money on their cards. But moving on, we have to mention some other support that's been kind of up and down, and that is cards like Eldritch the Golden Lord for the quarter century secret rare, and that is because with the newest Eldritch support, players got pretty hyped as it went up to 15s, and right now it has fallen down to about $9 a piece, which if you're a fan of these cards and want to pick them up, that's pretty good for you. And I do believe in the future we could see them rise back up again, as they do right from the graveyard. But right now, these are pretty fair prices for the original printing quarter century. And then if you want the reprint, which a lot of players really like this art more, we have them for a closer to that $12 mark. Yeah, we see some 10s and 11s, but then lower with the stars, you get close to that $12 mark for the Eldritch alternate art of the quarter centuries rare. And that brings us to another card we mentioned on the channel, and that is Flying Mary, the Wandering Ghost Ship. We made a short about it, and the card was relatively cheap way back when, looking at about 32 cents a piece, and very quickly this rises up to close about $1.99. So $2 for a Flying Mary, not too shabby, but again, we were telling people to be picking this up at that 30-cent mark. So again, if you subscribe to the channel, hopefully you've been listening and been saving yourself on value in picking up cards for your deck. And then another card we gotta mention when we bring up Eldritch, and this one's kind of an interesting one, is Dragon's Mind. But Dragon's Mind is essentially a solemn judgment for any time you have cards with 2500 attack or defense. And now this is a common, and we have a lot of them on the market for 13 cents, 15 cents, very cheap. but I want to note that this card has been seeing buyouts. Once you start scrolling back a couple days and a couple weeks, we noticed that this card has been seeing a lot of purchases, whether it's 100 here, 80 there. We see that the average sold daily is 85. 7,000 have been sold, okay? And right now we got 3,000 left. So I don't think this card is necessarily going to spike to some outrageous prices and you're going to make all your money off that 15 cents. But it's something to be noting about this card when you have so much volume moving around, okay? And I definitely want to bring it up when we bring up things like the Flying Mary or Eldritch. But now we have to move on to a hyped topic again because I love this deck, and that is Succumbing Song Morganite. And now we've done some previous videos on this channel talking about the Morganite support, and now we're going to have a deck list and some replays coming up after this market watch, okay? So do watch out for that video because I'm in love with Morganites. And now Succumbing Song, we saw way back when, 30 cents. Very popular number, spike all the way up to about $3-4, and now it is settled down because players, well, honestly, just don't know what's going to be coming down the pipeline to happen to them, okay? So $1.49, not too shabby. $1.50, $1.50, not bad for the Succumbing Song Morganite, especially when you look at the time tiering and what it's doing. So for the prismatic secret rares, they're like $4, $5, $6 a piece, $5.50, not too shabby, but again, closer to that $6 mark. So when you see Succumbing Song at about $1.50, just know players are playing 3 of those in their decks compared to 1 to 2 time tearing, okay? And then the super rare time tearing, and again, we already got the prismatic secret, are about $4, $5, or close to $6 again. So keep that in mind, especially when you're looking at the Succumbing Song Morganite. But when you're talking about Morganite, you have to mention some of the stun variants people are going with. And the first one is Inspector Border. And now, people have been extremely hyped with this card. $3, $4 a piece, not too long ago. And now they're $18. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So just know, people are preparing for the stun format with these Morganites. People are excited. So Inspector Border is one of the cards players are definitely flocking to. And then after that, we have the Fossil Dyna. And this card has been insane. And I wish I got some copies of this, okay? Because they were like $12 a piece. And now they're $30 a piece. That's quite the spike, and I'm not going to say run out and spend $30 on a Fossil Dynas. I'm just saying people are ready for the stun format. They want to slow things down, and Fossil Dyna does that. And with these 2 monsters I just mentioned, whether that's the Inspector Border, the Fossil Dyna, or the monsters I'm going to be utilizing in my Morganite deck, like the Morgana, they're all searchable by the spell card, and that is 7th Tachyon. And now, 7th Tachyon has been amazing in the Yugioh Mitsurugi, a lot of different variants, and it's going to be even more playable once the Morganite support comes out, because a lot of these level 4s are searchable that you want to have, okay? So 7th Tachyon for the collector rare is about $65, okay? And now, I think a lot of players, you know, yeah, they were triple digits, they've been dropping down, they're 65, why aren't players picking them up? Well, the quarter century has kind of trained players to not trust collector rares at this point, okay? Why pick up a $60 CR when it might tank down to $1 or $3 later on, like Lightning Storm did when it was $100? Okay, so again, there's a lot to be noting with the CRs. And now the secret rares of this card are not much lower, so it's almost more startling because they're like $45 a piece, okay? So you have the option of $45 for the 7th Tachyon secrets or $65 for the collector rare. Neither are really good, but again, these are prices to be on the lookout for because players are going to be utilizing them, again, in this metagame and in the future metagames as well. And now, of course, I cannot mention the new support Konami has announced without talking about Masked Heroes. And now, Mask Change Quarter Century Secret Rare is at $40 a piece. Yes, we have like a 35, a 38, but very, very quickly, we're in that $40 range, okay? And now, that's not extremely high from where we were. We were looking at about $32. The only thing that would stop this is if we see an alt art of Mask Change, which I wouldn't be surprised since we saw all sorts of polymerizations coming out. But the one alt art we did get announced was Masked Hero Darklaw. And now I want to comment down below if you know if this card's going to be released in Quarter Century Secret Rare or whatever rarity they're going to be having during the time it comes out? Or is the Dark Law we have right now going to be the only quarter century secret? Because as we know, quite some time ago, these Dark Laws were about $15 a piece, and honestly, players should have been hyped up about that. And they have quickly jumped to $25, $27, $28, even that $30 mark once you go to page 2. And I think the hesitation around the price jump of this card from that 20 to that 40 mark is because of the alt art that has been announced. So before you go buy a Dark Law Quarter Century, do know we have an alt art coming out, and I don't know if it's going to be in the Quarter Century printing or any high value printing, because if it is, this price is in trouble. And then when we're looking into the future for Yummy or the K9 or anything, we have to talk about and the ban played on, because a lot of the decks in the future are going to be based around the same level monsters, whether that's Yummy with 2s or the K9s with level 5s. So and the ban played on is a card that many players are looking to tech in the future, and it's really cheap for that ultra rare. We have a bunch of light plays for literally 76 cents a piece, and then once we get to the near mints and clean it up a little bit, we see they're literally like $2 a piece, okay? So not too shabby. Yes, I know a long time ago they were really cheap, but right now, for the only holo of this card, once it makes it into player side decks, the price of this card will go much higher than that 76 for the LPs or the $2 for the near mints. So again, don't say I didn't tell you. And if you got anything from this video, maybe you're going to pick up Red Eye's Insight because they're going to spike in price, definitely subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any content, because you can get things like Sales Ban or even Heat Wave on their lowest lows before they spike. And definitely check out our other content so you can make some value on the side. And most importantly, guys, stay safe, have a good night, and suck it, nerds.